Hi, I'm Pastor Jonathan Whitfield from Corinthian Baptist Church. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our series of videos, Lighting the Way for Home Ownership in Greater Des Moines. In this series, you're going to be introduced to local people and organizations who can help you reach your dreams of home ownership. So it is my pleasure, as well as my privilege, to turn you over to Reverend Robin Jenkins, a member of Corinthian Baptist Church, who's going to conduct our interviews.
I am Robin Jenkins. I'm an advocate for home ownership for underserved communities. Down below in the description box, you will find links to resources that we believe will be very helpful to you. Also below in the description is a link to a survey. We sincerely hope that you will take the time to find that link, click on it, and do complete that survey. With that, let's get to today's video. So we're here today with Andrea Harris. Andrea is with Home Inc., which is one of Des Moines' longest serving housing organization. Home Inc. is also a HUD-approved housing counseling provider. They support or provide support to both renters and homeowners. Andrea is a housing counselor with Home Inc., and we are so grateful to have her with us today to have this conversation about purchasing a home. So let's jump right into our conversation. Tell us, so what do you think is the most important question or questions that someone should ask themselves when they're contemplating buying a home?
Yeah, I think the first question that people really need to ask themselves is, are they ready to make that kind of investment? Purchasing a home is going to be the biggest thing you ever do financially.
Okay. Yeah.
So not only are you ready financially, but it also means putting roots down in a way that if you're, say, renting and you have the freedom to move every year or 2 years if you'd like, owning a home is going to be a longer term commitment to where you're living. Am I ready financially? Do I want to stay in one place for a while? And then really thinking about what it means to keep up a home with repairs and maintenance. And are you a do-it-yourselfer, or would you rather hire somebody? Those are all just good things to know about yourself as you're looking at different types of homes and different options that way.
Nice. So finances. Mm-hmm. Am I ready for all of the things and responsibilities that come along with home ownership? Mm-hmm. And so having some education and knowledge around that, and even geographically is what I heard. Yes. Is this the right place?
Yes.
That I want to establish some roots. Mm-hmm. So very good. Thank you. Mm-hmm. In your experience, what are the main steps that people need to take on their journey? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I think that obviously I'm biased, but stopping at a place like Home Inc., where you can receive homeownership or pre-purchase counseling, is a really great first step to not only get knowledge about the process, but also really look at your financials in an objective way. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to get your business other than you just come and have a conversation. So I think that that's a really great first step. And then from there, connecting with a reputable lender, a mortgage lender, which might be a bank, it might be a mortgage broker, someone a little more independent. There's lots of options. But seeing how much you qualify for is really the next step, even sometimes before finding a realtor, because you want to be able to know what you're shopping for. You got to have the budget before you go shopping. So once you have that budget, going and finding a real estate agent or a realtor, they are going to be able to navigate that home buying process with you. They'll show you homes, they'll give you advice, you'll gain their market insights, all of those things. And then from there, when you're ready to make a purchase on a house, you'll go through that process again, more so with your lender. But I think getting some homeownership counseling, finding a good lender, and then getting in contact with a realtor that can help you find your forever home.
So let's talk then a little bit about that first-time home buyer, but they already know that they've got some issues with the credit score. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. First of all, we have all been there with credit. It is not easy. It is not quick. It is a marathon, not a sprint. And the biggest, quickest advice that I can give around credit is making payments on time.
Yeah.
If it reports to your credit, make the payment on time. Because the maybe number one barrier that I see is people with late payments on their credit report. Lenders typically want to have at least 12 months from the last late payment before you're even eligible to make a loan. So you could have a score of, if 800 is the top of the score, you could have a 700, 750. But if you have that late payment, it's still going to be a barrier, which happens to all of us. We all can get in those situations. So general credit repair, there's a lot of if this, then that. It's a bit of a formula, and it's also a little bit of magic and mystery that the powers that be decide these scores. But really, my role is to help go through that credit report, take a look at things that are there, and give my best advice on how to improve that. I think it is sort of a myth that people have to have great credit or that they can't have a lot of debt, specifically student loan debt. I hear as well, I have $100,000 in student loan. I could never buy a house. There really are a lot of options, even if you have that kind of debt, that it's worth starting a conversation. Maybe you're still a year out, but it's worth starting the conversation. I think another thing that's out there is you have to have 20% down. That really is a myth these days, that you don't have to have that even by the lender's requirements. And even if you do, there's a lot of assistance programs for those that are income qualified to gain access to down payment assistance.
All right. So you kind of moved into the next segment as I was thinking about that. So you don't necessarily have to have 20% down, but is there some ballpark or something that you should be targeting to understand how much you really will need to have as a down payment?
Absolutely. You generally are going to want to be able to cover your closing cost, which is all of the fees and basically what it costs to create the loan. And if we're doing a really ballpark estimate and saying a $150,000 house, which is on the lower end, but you're looking at around $5,000 in closing cost. So if you have about that $5,000, and then the bank or the lender is also going to want to see some money in savings.
Okay.
For you, kind of your rainy day type savings, which would generally be 1 to 2 months worth of a mortgage payment. So if you have anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000, you're in a pretty strong position to really start considering purchasing a home.
Okay. All right. So I guess maybe I should also ask, are you saying then that somebody would probably need to have that much before they really kind of delve into this? Or would it be, so I don't have it. Let's say I don't have that kind of money, right? Would it still be beneficial for me to maybe reach out and start a conversation and maybe there's services that you could help me get on the track to getting there, and we could put together a goal or a timeline or something like that so that I can kind of see and be hopeful about this process. Yeah, so
absolutely.
That kind of work. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So how can someone estimate then? Let's say we figured it out. We've gotten through the process, right? And I've got this thing together now. So how can I estimate what it's actually going to cost me on a monthly basis to buy a home, to be a homeowner? What am I going to have to factor in there?
Yeah, so your monthly mortgage payment works a little bit different than what you think about for rent. Rent, you write your check to your landlord or Venmo or however people are doing it now.
Yeah.
That you pay your landlord and they kind of take care of all of the background things. Your mortgage is going to be composed of some different parts. There's the principal, which is the paying back the loan. So say we're doing that $150,000. That's how many payments it takes to equal out to $150,000. Then the next part is going to be the interest, which is what your lender is making off of the loan.
Right.
So that's kind of that extra fee on top. The next is going to be the taxes, and not like a car where you're paying tax on just the sale one time. It is the ongoing cost of your property taxes. And those property taxes then go back into the community through roads, schools, things like that. And the next part is going to be insurance. So your homeowner's insurance, that's going to protect both your physical house, as well as if someone were to get hurt in your home, it would also cover some of that. And the last is kind of like a homeowners association fee. This won't apply in every situation, but if the home you're purchasing is in an HOA, that would be factored into your monthly payment as well.
Okay.
So that gets commonly referred to as your PITI. So principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, and association for adding in that A.
Oh, okay. So that's what that PITIA stood for.
Yes.
Excellent. I got to figure out how much I'm going to pay monthly. That goes to what? So my whole mortgage payment then is kind of broken up into those categories. So I know that there's going to be a dollar amount associated with each one of those. Well, excellent. Thank you so very much. Something else that people are worried about is just how high interest rates are. I don't know if you can do anything. Can you do anything about that, Andrea?
If I could do that, I would be a very popular individual.
I know, that's right. Your phone would not ever be hung up.
Yes.
So, is this even a good time to buy a house?
If you are in a position that you financially can purchase a house, then yes, it is a good time to buy.
Okay.
Interest rates are scary because if you think about typical mortgage being 30 years and I'm paying $500 a month in interest, well, I'm never going to pay this loan off. Yes, and it is still a great investment when you see prices rising. So it's not just prices of homes rising. It's not just the amount that you're paying in interest. You also have to think that the home itself is gaining equity, which is the difference between how much you owe and how much it's worth. So if I owe $150,000, but my home is worth, say, $200,000, then I have $50,000 in equity. And that amount is a really great way to think of it as that's how you think of it as an investment. On top of that, I think the interest rate numbers scare people, but even paying $50 a month extra on your loan payment can save you tens of thousands of dollars over the course of your mortgage. So, for example, stick with that $150,000. That will literally save you about $20,000 over the course of your mortgage with today's interest rates of about 7.5%. So, and the higher the interest rate, the more you actually save by paying extra on your mortgage. So even if the bank doesn't give you the interest rate you want, just making that additional payment can make a huge difference.
So if I just added, using your number, $50 extra a month over and above whatever my monthly payment is, what you're saying is that $50 then goes toward that principal?
Correct.
which reduces that.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Correct.
All right.
Yes. With the faster you pay off the principal amount, the less interest that you're going to pay. A big word that gets talked about is your amortization schedule, which is literally the schedule of how much money goes to your principal and interest every month. And the interest is based off of the principal amount. So the less principal, the less interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so back just a little bit, talking about that PITIA, and you talked about, the taxes and the insurance and the HOA. Mm-hmm. That money then, while it goes to the bank, is that kind of set aside?
Yes.
That it pays those fees on an annual basis?
So your PI, principal and interest, that's what really is going to the bank specifically. The TIA, that amount, it goes into what's called escrow. And escrow is a fancy word for a savings account, for lack of better words. But that savings account gets built up through the year, and your bank or lender will then use that money from the savings account to pay for your taxes and insurance.
Okay.
So when you're making your monthly payment, you are paying for that principal and interest, paying back your loan, but you're also paying your taxes and insurance every month as well, and association fees.
Okay. All right. So what should I do if I have unexpected challenges or trouble paying my mortgage? Or let's say I find out that I have a big home maintenance cost.
Absolutely. It's one of the big fears, I think, of owning a home is what happens when my roof leaks or the furnace goes out. Ideally, you would have been also putting away some money towards savings for those sort of expenses. Life happens. We don't always have the savings we want or have had to use it for something else. So if you ever find yourself in a position where you're not able to make your monthly payment, your first call needs to be to your mortgage lender.
Okay.
Whoever you are making your payment to each month, they are going to have options for assistance. That could be as simple as waiving a late fee so you can pay it a little bit later, to kind of reorganizing your mortgage so that you have a lower payment. There's pros and cons to all of that, but there is help and options there. The earlier you call your lender, the more options they will have. It's really easy to get embarrassed, feel a little bit of shame, want to stick your head in the sand.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But calling your lender really is going to be the first thing to do.
Okay.
Beyond that, say you are a few months behind and you don't know what to do, there's a website, iowamortgagehelp.com, that is a great resource for helping people catch up with payments and giving additional advice and assistance around that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So iowamortgagehelp.com. That's it?
Yep.
All right. So I hope our audience, our listeners, will jot that down in the event if you get into any trouble with that. But as we talked about all of this, it sounds like people really need to understand budgeting as well. Is that something that Home Inc. can help people understand or develop that budget if by chance they haven't already started?
Absolutely. I think that that's a big reason people come to us in the first place is, how do I get my finances in order? And the biggest thing I will say is we got to start with a budget.
Okay.
It's not about how much we spend, it's about how much we're saving. So getting that budget in place is going to be kind of a key to that.
Okay.
The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, CFPB.gov, advertisement.org, I think. They have a lot of really great resources for budget templates. If people are just looking for some general information and kind of money management, they even have some things about debt and credit as well.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. That's helpful information to have. And I think that's also key to homeownership, because we all know that homeownership is that pathway to building generational wealth. So we want people to get started as soon as they're ready, I guess is the best way to put it. But certainly need to get started.
Yeah.
Taking that journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Taking that journey. So, Andrea, tell us, if somebody is looking for more help on this topic or just needs some assistance or information or have questions, tell them how they can reach out to Home Inc. And any closing comments or thoughts that you might have that you think are important for our listeners to hear.
Absolutely. Our website is a really great resource, which is homeincdsm.org. And that will have all of our contact information there. And you can even email us directly and we will respond. Another side of Home Inc. is we also do rental counseling. So if people were to have questions about how do I handle this issue with my landlord, you can give us a call and we can help with that as well. Or the opposite, I have this tenant, I don't know what to do. We can help answer some of those questions too.
So from that perspective, the renter or the landlord can get assistance at Home Inc.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Good information to have. Well, Andrea, thank you so much. It's been very, very informative, and
Yes.
I have no doubt that it's been an extremely beneficial conversation to our audience.
Great.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for what you do at Home Inc.
Thank you.
Wow, wasn't that great? Thanks for watching today. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel so that you can be part of the future interviews and hear about all the success stories of our community. It is our hope that you will continue and that you will find with us a successful journey towards your opportunities of home ownership. We want to see you next time. Be there.
Thanks for watching today. Don't forget, look in the description below. There are links that will help you on your home ownership journey.